Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gamers. If you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Adastra. So, oh lord, yeah, you guys, yeah, the game took quite a turn in the last episode, and oh god, I am just dreading what's gonna happen, but we also got introduced to a bit of a new element, as a new mysterious dragon-like character appeared out of nowhere. It was pretty interesting, actually. So, maybe it's the parents? Interesting. Anyway, guys, let's just go ahead and jump right back in. Please sit back and enjoy for the next 18 minutes. We'll entertain you, and let's jump right in. Alarm chain, you are up, and let's go. Okay. As I get closer, I realize that someone is on the balcony. It's Amicus, and my heart fills with relief. He's got his back to the railing, leaning against it casually. Even though I can only see him from behind, I realize that it's not the Amicus I know. Instead, he's in full robes. Good lord, that is loud. 1 second, guys. 1 second, let me, Alright, y'all, I'm back. Alright, let's go. Okay. Instead, he's in full robes, and he's a lot more skinny than I remember. I slow down, wondering why he's not looking at me with all the splashing noises I'm making. Just as I'm about to call him up, though, I see brown arms wrap around him, smoothing over his arms and back, and that's when Amicus turns to the side. I see now that those arms belong to another wolf, smaller and brown-furred, one that I've never seen before. Amicus is doing the same to him, paws moving around his body in a way that's awkward and hesitant. A pair of young lovers making out for the first time. I watch, suddenly feeling embarrassed. I'm back in Amicus's room, and that same teenage wolf is now on the sofa, bent over, hiding his face behind his paws. I've never seen Amicus really cry, but I can tell that's what he's doing now. I feel the sense of complete and utter shame, the feeling that I've let everyone down. It consumes me. I reach out toward the young wolf, wanting to comfort him, wondering if he'll know who I am. Suddenly, I'm sucked back into the cosmos. There's no parent this time. Instead, I float peacefully through the vacuum, staring down at what I assume is Adastra. Even though there isn't anyone here with me, I sense beings all around me. I also get a sense of approval, like their work is done. Finish Mira's work, young human. Just like that, I start to drift back down toward the moon, descending faster and faster until everything becomes a blur. Huh. Aiding the work of celestial beings, perhaps? Coming to feels real, and I immediately know I'm not in a dream. I smell lavender. Amicus? My eyes feel like they're glued shut, and I have to rub at them to get them to fully open. The first thing I see is the sky, the planet Anarchus, and the moon Torque, both of them glowing brightly. I stare at the two floating orbs for a while, waiting for things to fall into place as to why I'm out here. I'm laying on something hard, like concrete, and I feel soft but weighty things on my chest. My hands are curled around it, and I lift it slowly to have a look, even though it feels like a 50-pound dumbbell. Flowers. Flowers with a fair bit of lavender mixed in. Slowly, I turn my head, and again, I get the feeling of heavy weights attached to my body. I somehow manage it, and immediately see that I'm in the amphitheater. At the same time, I see more flowers, and I realize that they're arranged all around me in a circle. Moving my head around also makes me realize that there's something scratchy and prickly on my head. Still struggling with my heavy hand, I reach up and grab at it. I lift it from my head and hold it in front of my face. My eyes taking a few moments to focus to find out that it's a wreath, pink flowers woven into the twigs. I finally drop my arm to the side, getting too tired to hold it up, and I watch it lazily roll a few feet away. The movement sends a wave of tingling through my body, but it fades quickly. The heavy weakness is also starting to fade, but I'm more worried about how I got here, and why I'm covered in flowers. From what I can tell, I'm in the gardens, though a part of it I haven't been to before. I close my eyes, trying to remember how I got here. Amicus, the trial of rhetoric, the restaurant, being sick. Again, I lift my arm, though it's easier this time, and I look at the skin. It's covered in crusty, yellowish scabs, though they don't hurt. I don't know why, but I get the feeling that the skin underneath is completely healed. I try to think again. I do remember throwing up on Amicus. I do remember throwing up on Cassius. But after that, just terrible dreams. Sip my coffee. Coffee definitely helps with my sore throat. Do they heal me somehow? Is this flower thing part of that? I'm feeling some of my strength returning, so I force myself into a sitting position, joints popping and muscles stiff. Still, with every movement, things get easier. I do get lightheaded, though, and I have to sit there for a moment, looking around again, wondering where Amicus is. He sounded so desperate and sad the last I heard him. I need to show him that I'm okay now. At least I think I am. I slowly push myself up, listening to the gunshot cracks at my knees, as if I hadn't used them for days. I stand unsteadily in the center of the square, looking around at the circle of flowers. I'm startled when I turn and see a wolf behind me, but it's just a sculpture. A male wolf decked out in armor, both of his paws raised to the sky. He's got a bunch of flowers weaved around his wrists and on his head, too. I wait a few moments, listening for anyone that might be nearby. All I hear are the insects around me, so I start to move toward the path that I know leads to the palace. Although I'm pretty sure I'm not daydreaming now, this eerie scenario has me questioning that. The whole situation is surreal. All the things that I remember happening last feel so distant. Despite spending all my time on Adastra trying to be covert, I find myself longing to find someone, anyone really. I just need to know what's happened. And pretty soon I do find someone. His back is to me, stooped over, fur almost ghostly in the glow of the garden lights. The cat busies himself with some flowers, a pair of metal clippers in his paws. As I get closer, I can hear him humming just above the noise of his busy snipping. I'm just opening my mouth when I see his ears perk. Cass, you know I don't like these games. Alex turns to face me, a knowing smile on his lips. That quickly disappears the second he sees me, though, replaced by a look of complete shock. Ah! Whatever he was trying to say doesn't seem to want to come out, and instead he just stands there gaping at me. Hey! I can barely talk, my voice rasping out like sandpaper on wood. I take a step forward, and that's when Alex finally reacts, jumping almost a foot into the air in a backwards motion, putting space between us as he yelps. What? What? How? He stutters and stumbles over his words. I've seen Alex flustered before, but never like this. There's real fear in his eyes as he stumbles against some bushes. I wonder if he's just going to take off running, but instead he stands there, quivering as he holds the clippers in front of his chest, as if contemplating using them as a weapon. I raise my hands reassuringly. Hey, Alex, it's me! I cough a few times, trying to clear my throat. I see Alex's ears twitch at the sound as he slowly lowers the clippers. They move to the side away from the bush, giving himself a clear path to the palace. Kyllian, but how? He's staring at me like what he's seeing is impossible. How what? I'm regaining my voice slowly but surely. What's happening? Alex finally seems to get a hold of himself, fur slowly laying flat again as he eyes me, looking almost suspicious. I could ask you the same thing. This catches me off guard. Why? Well, Alex looks around before focusing on me again, tilting his head as if to look at me from a different angle. You were dead. Dead? Well, not completely, but you were in a coma in a coma that we were told you would not wake up from. Oh. I look down at myself as if to confirm that I'm indeed alive and well. Aside from the patchy scabs all over my arms and legs, I feel okay, aside from the grogginess. I thought the doctor healed me. Alex's ears perk. Doctor? I mean, I think there was a doctor. I heard him when I was brought back here. Alex's eyes narrow. Amicus told us you were vegetated before he arrived. How did you hear him? I don't know. I might have dreamed it. I was really out of it. If you were still conscious when he arrived, he should have been able to halt the damage caused by the virus. Who was the doctor? With every passing second, I regain more and more of my wits, and Alex's demeanor is confusing me. He thought I was dead, and instead of being happy, I feel like he's interrogating me. That's also when I realize something else. Wait, you all think I'm dead? Well, not me anymore, obviously. This is all very strange. How did you survive exactly? Now the cat is starting to annoy me, and I look past him toward the palace, the situation finally dawning on me. Where's Amicus? The cat is quiet for a moment, as if contemplating something, then quirks his head. I'm not sure. He's been here and there, though I haven't seen him for at least a day. I walk past the cat, toward the palace, realizing what sort of the state the wolf might be in. Where are you going? I'm very happy to see that you're well, but this is all just very sudden and unexpected. I ignore Alex, not in the mood to figure out why he's acting the way he is. He's making me feel like I'm still dreaming. So I walk quickly, and I'm relieved that he doesn't follow me. The wave of cool air that hits me as I enter the palace is a welcome feeling, and I find myself grateful to be back. Despite having apparently been here the whole time, it really does feel like I've been away for weeks. I pick up the pace as I head toward Amicus's room, practically jogging. I have to let him know that I'm okay. The short distance to his room seems like it takes longer than it ever has before, and I'm glad that I don't run into anyone else on the way. That interaction with Alex was weird, and I don't need a repeat of that right now. I finally make it to his door, and I immediately hear muffled chattering behind it. I don't hesitate, though, and I press my hand to the panel. The door slides open, and instead of the usual blast of even colder air I would often get from Amicus's room, it's stuffy, warm, and the smell is a little bit musky. Oh my god, they're banging! The lights are dimmed, and my heart sinks when I see the empty bed. I linger in the doorway, though, something feeling off. The droning chatter is calm, giving what sounds like a monologue on history of some past emperor. I see wine bottles, too, mostly bunched together on top of the bedside table. There are also a few laying here and there on the floor. Amicus? I call out, starting to become afraid of what I might find. I make a few tentative steps into the room, then I hear a loud snore, and instantly the worry gripping my chest starts to release. I'd recognize that sound anywhere. I hurry over to the other side of the bed where I find my wolf splayed out on the floor, a wine bottle next to his head, only in his underwear. He's clearly asleep, or passed out, muzzle hanging wide open, and as another thunderous snore shakes the floor. Amicus! I crouch down next to him, resting a hand on his chest, trying to shake him awake. His only response is a few more broken snorts before drooling out the side of his muzzle. I switch to patting at his face, then grabbing his muzzle and shaking it around, noticing how crusty the fur is. Something I've never felt on Amicus before. Amicus! I consider slapping him like I've seen people do in the movies. Then I see the bottle next to his head and decide to go for another approach. I snatch it up and hurry to the bathroom. I hold the bottle under the faucet and give a good 5 seconds, letting it fill with soapy water to the halfway point before I hurry back into the room. Meanwhile, Calm doesn't seem to notice me, droning on about how this particular emperor was known for having a fondness of orchids. I crouch down next to Amicus again, hesitating for a second as I wonder if maybe I should call Cato. Probably not Cato. Neferu, maybe? Just in case Amicus is actually in trouble. I don't know how much a wolf can drink before it can kill them, but the sheer amount of bottles laying around the room worries me. I decide to just go ahead with my plan, and I upend the bottle over Amicus's face. It pours directly onto his nose, and he immediately chokes, turning his head this way and that to avoid the stream of bubbly water. I have a moment to wonder if drowning him is the best approach before he suddenly sits up, pawing at his face. Gah! The wolf covers his eyes, and it's only then that I realize how irritating that soap might be for them. Shit, sorry, should I get some water from the shower so you can rinse your eyes out? Amicus freezes, still covering his face, and slowly lowers his paws to reveal his bleary, bloodshot eyes. He stares at me in a way that he never has before. I'm kind of surprised, it's kind of surprised like Alex had been, but rather than fear, Amicus simply looks empty, numb. Are you okay? I reach out, but Amicus turns his head away. Away with you, Ghost! Enough of your torment! He keeps his head turned away, eyes closed. Ghost? Amicus, it's me! I reach out and grab his face, and that seems to shock him as he jumps and turns to look at me right in the eye. I can tell that he's drunk, very drunk, or there's an extra distant look in his eyes that I don't like. Amicus, what are you on? Did you take something? I held his big head steady, feeling the fullness of his cheeks in my hands, looking into his familiar eyes, no matter how glazed and unfocused they are. Then I find myself throwing my arms around his neck and leaning again to his body, the reality of the situation crashing down on me all at once. Amicus gasps into my ear as if my touch suddenly makes him realize that I'm real, that I'm here. This is going to have repercussions, I bet you. Clumsily, he starts to stand up, pulling me up with him. It's difficult because I don't let go, almost getting lifted off my feet before I settle on letting go for just a moment to hug him lower, around his body, pressing my head to his chest, hearing his heart hammering inside. Finally, he's able to get a grip on me and push me away despite my intention to cling to him forever. He holds me at arm's length, staring at me. I clutch his paws on my shoulders, staring up at him, feeling my eyes start to water. Is this possible? No, please, I can't handle another hallucination. His expression keeps morphing from hope and awe to devastation. I feel his paws grip into my shoulders tightly, almost painfully, as if to make sure I'm real. It's me! I woke up in the garden for some reason. I'm okay. I want to hug him again, but he keeps holding me away, looking me up and down, pushing my hair back and feeling my crusty skin. But how? I don't know. I just remember having crazy dreams, and then I was in the garden. As I'm talking, I think Amicus is finally believing it's me. I notice that his body is starting to sway in a worrying manner. Amicus? I reach out to steady him, but as I do, his eyes roll back, and I realize there's no way in hell I'm going to be able to keep a wolf over twice my weight from toppling over. I try anyway, wrapping my arms around him as Amicus falls backwards, his boat pulling me down with him before he falls back first onto the bedside table, sending bottles flying while his upper back and head smashes into the wall. My fall is absorbed by his much softer front, but the sound is loud, the room shaking and probably waking up the entire palace. Waking the wolf up the second time is a lot easier, probably because he'd fainted rather than passed out from too much wine. We're at least able to move onto the bed where Amicus sits cross-legged, pulling me onto his lap and just holding me there, his paws moving around my body, still trying to make sure I'm real. For a moment, we don't talk, the wolf just pressing his nose to my hair and breathing in deeply. I feel a little self-conscious, knowing I must not smell very good right now, but that doesn't seem to bother Amicus as he goes on pressing his nose to my head and neck, taking in my scent. Finally, he does speak, but it's one word. How? I turn my head toward the wolf, resting my cheek against his neck. I don't know. I don't really even know what happened to me. You got sick. So sick. You were having convulsions, brain and nerve damage. It was terrible. Amicus's arms tighten around me, his voice, normally deep and strong, now sounding weak and broken. The statement worries me, though, and I have to wonder if I really am better. There seems to be patches missing from my memory, and I do feel different, like I'm not fully myself. But I don't really want to think about that right now. I think I remember a little bit of that. I left my arm up, showing Amicus the shiny, crusty scabs on my arm. It was avia-pox. I can't believe I didn't consider the possibility of diseases and illnesses for you. I'm just so used to the idea of any new arrival in Adastra going through that process. Obviously, we did it a bit differently. Yeah. And honestly, I'm not even sure I'd have you do it. I don't know if you'd react differently to those vaccinations. Each species has their own customized cocktail. And aviapox isn't included in the vaccination set. It's such a mild virus. We'd never seen anyone react to it the way you did, even other primates. I think back to how quickly I became sick, how quickly I almost died. I notice Amicus looking down at me again, and I look back up at him. What? What? Amicus shakes his head. I'm just still trying to make sure you're here, that you're real. I'm afraid if I let go, even if I even look away, you'll disappear. His arms tighten around me again, squeezing a huff of breath out of me. I'm here, I promise. Well, I've had a lot of hallucinations. Too many stress tablets, I think. Stress tablets? Yes, quite a few of them, in fact. With wine? Oh, yes. Amicus? I don't really know what these stress tablets are, but I imagine mixing space Xanax with alcohol is a horrible idea. Amicus doesn't seem bothered by my reprimand, though, instead just snuggling closer to me, and his crusted face fur prickly against my skin. I love you, Kyllian. I get that familiar swooping feeling in my chest like I'm on a roller coaster. I clutch onto his arms. I love you too. Oh, excuse me. Amicus sighs and sets his chin on my head. I thought I'd missed the opportunity to say it. I still can't believe you're real. Well, I am. I promise. But I still don't understand how. This shouldn't be possible. You were declared to be in permanent coma, no brain activity. I had to set you out in the garden and only hope for a miracle. Miracle? Amicus lets out a shaky sigh, running his fingers through my hair. When a sapient falls into such a state, we simply let them fade away in a peaceful setting or possibly recover if the parent allows it. I sat out there for a while, but couldn't bear to see you waste away, so I came back to my room to drink and prepare for the emperorship. I imagine Amicus laying those flowers around me, and I feel my heart break a little. Did the parents come to you? Is that why you're here? I'd hoped that they would. I shrug. I really can't remember much. It does not matter. My prayers were answered. Praise the gods. Amicus starts to smother me again with his hugging. Little bits of imagery from my dreams are starting to come back to me. Something that happened in space. Someone talking to me. And judging by the only human I know, your people are full of surprises. We can figure it out later. I just want to hold you right now. Alright guys, I'm gonna pause it right here. Oh god, okay. Now these two are reunited again. Oh my goodness. Wonder how Cassius is going to react. Alex had a bit of a weird reaction, that is for damn sure. Him asking how he survived? That's weird. I don't know. I get the feeling that Alex isn't all that we think he is. Alright guys, anyway, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. Until the next video, I love you all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye!